Moo and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pinktron. I am Brent Robinson, and I'm joined today by first John Keenan. John, what are you drinking?
Well, it's a cloudy day here, so I wanted some sunshine. I've got the brightest can that I've ever seen. It was lurking in the back of the fridge. It's water kefir. Surprisingly, no mushrooms.
Water kefir?
Ooh,
Oh, like
Yeah,
Kefir?
yeah, which I think is a
Ah,
milk product, but this is
yeah.
clearly more of a soda can kind of thing with mango, ginger, orange.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
tasty.
what's the consistency on that? Isn't it like kefir's supposed to be a little thicker, is it not?
Kefir
Yep.
is very thick, and this is not. It's like
Huh.
it's like a soda pop. I don't know where the kefir comes in.
How long has it been lurking in the back of your fridge?
Yeah, let me look at the expiry date here. It just says enjoy.
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 Hope it all works out.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
What's the worst that could happen? Not
Yeah,
great when that's the expiration date.
yeah.
And that voice is Chris Greenland. Chris, what are you drinking?
Couple of things actually. I'm excited to say that I do have Miller Lite back in the house. I've just finished one of those, and then I'm cracking into. I found this locally here, out of California. It's Donna's Pickle Beer.
Mm.
It's a it's a pickle lager.
Is it good?
He's not
It's good. I
so
like it.
This is Chris drinking.
he
This
might
is
have
some
died.
riveting
Sorry,
radio.
everybody froze there for a second. No, it's like a briny pickle beer. It's actually pretty good.
Good. We also have Stef at Jen. Steph, what are you drinking?
I'm having today a Jungle Joy beer. It's a passion fruit and mango ale from Brussels Beer Project.
That sounds very tasty.
That does sound
Fruity.
really good.
And we also have with us today Nathan Trachta. Nath, what are you drinking?
I'm boring. Sorry. Today it's water with drip drops in it.
That's okay. We allow the boring here once in a while. That's allowable. That's allowable. Nate's going to talk to us a little bit about some changes to HVR. And I actually have a real drink today. I have a gin and tonic made with Lovebird Gin, which is a local little distillery around here. So have a little early Friday afternoon action in my office. So
Nice. What's the
that's
weather up there, Brent? Is it GNT weather? Are you getting into?
it's cool but clear, like sunny and stuff. But it's I think the
Okay.
high is about 8 today, 8 Celsius. So I don't know. It's what
Okay.
40 maybe in Fahrenheit.
Sure.
Sounds about right. Anyway, you know what else? It's time to talk about the changing of the weather, the changing of the leaves, because it is week one of HWR. Herd Winter
Nailed
Racing
it.
is
Yay!
back. It is back. We had race one with 100 plus racers. I think they're signed up. I think it's 90 some odd finishers on Zwift Power. So it
Yeah.
is back in a big,
Yeah.
big way. And this week's route was Sand and Sequoias. I raced it. Chris raced it. Steph raced it.
No,
Um,
I didn't trace it.
oh, you just
Was
streamed
fan
it.
viewing and live commentating on it.
Oh, pardon me. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Steph streamed it. So if
Nope.
you're curious to see how race one went, go look up Steph's stream. I know he's posted it in the chat. I think right, John, you're racing later.
I'll be racing later, hopefully the race too, but if I don't, I'll do it tomorrow. It
Yeah.
looked like a lot of fun with a big group. Maybe
Yeah.
I've forgotten how big the groups in HWR are from the summer, but that looked like a blast.
Yeah, it was
It
good.
was a lot of bodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate,
Yeah.
Nate, are you gonna get into this?
I might have to. Since Sequoia is a fun one, it'd be a toss up between that and doing HBR because I also love RGV.
Mhm.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little preview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Mhm.
was fun. It was not, well, it wasn't the hardest HWR I've ever done. I'll be honest. I mean, I finished 25th, so I'd usually like to come a little higher than that, but that's because my sprint sucks. But, it was hard on the KOM, but not as hard as I've ever seen people go
Uh,
on Titans Forward, I would think. Like I did a 478 or something like that, 1 minute to stay in, and I'm sure I've had to go like 500 for 2 minutes to stay in across the top of that. So
Yeah,
it's,
from fan viewing, it didn't look that spicy. There was one guy, I think, that kept trying to break away but didn't succeed. But yeah, it was not what you expected. But yeah,
I mean, there were
but yeah,
23 riders within 4 seconds of the finish.
yeah,
I mean, that's a
yeah.
big group.
I think in game it was about 30-ish coming out of Titans Grove. So yeah,
and it didn't really get an attack after that. I think, I mean, there were maybe like 3 attacks, I'd say, in the desert before we
yeah,
got into Titans Grove. Chris, that sound about
yeah,
right?
Ooh,
It does. It does. I was
yeah,
waiting for somebody to go backwards with, and that never, that opportunity never came up. So I had
yeah.
to surge with all those attacks.
It looked like the first breaking point for you and a couple of people was end of call of Saddle Springs going into Titans, where
Yeah.
a group dropped, and in Titans you saw a couple of other smaller groups drop.
Yeah, I'd say the attacks didn't even quite feel like full on. I'd say the group looked so big, I think it was very intimidating to try to attack. Like certainly when we got to the hills, like the pace got on, but I'd say the ones in the desert even petered out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little surges off the front. Yeah, because then it got so stretched out, there was never any clean break. The elastic never really snapped.
Yeah, and then yeah, I mean it was certainly that first bit up call to Saddle Springs, and like when you're going that forward direction, it kind of does go up sort of to a crest like pretty early in the climb up to Titans Grove, and then you get a pretty long downhill to flat before you get the start of the KOM. And I thought it felt very much like people were saving their bullets on that piece, and then the pace came on as soon as not quite right at the banner. There's the start of the bottom of Titans Grove. There's like a flat first 300-400 meters. And then once it gets into that sort of 3-4%, the pace came on. But yeah, usually when you get that last ramp up before you hit the switchback, like people really, really send it. And it felt like they only did like 90% efforts instead of 100.
That's surprising because that's like the one, it's that, and then it's that second kicker after you do the descent. And those are like the only places that you're going to break anybody if
Yeah.
you're trying to get away. Otherwise, you might as well just tuck in and wait for the finishing sprint.
Well, and I think that was I think the big guns, the scorekeepers and Mark Johns and whoever else of the worlds had decided that it was going to be too big a group that if you just attacked, you were probably just going to get like a string behind you of guys who were equal to you in the sprint. So it's better to save your
Mhm.
bullets and wait and
Yeah,
then
makes sense.
take them in the sprint. So
Well, certainly worked out for them, right? Scorekeeper with the win.
Yeah.
Mark with an impressive performance. Terry Rigby up there.
yeah, Dan Manalo in the top 10. So yeah, it was so very fun. The Discord was full, which was always super fun.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a great return for HWR. I don't think there's many other tips other than to be with that bike choice. What did you ride, Chris?
I was on the new Pinarello and the DT Swiss disc wheels.
I rode the Pinarello with the rainbow discs.
Yep.
Oh,
No.
stylish.
Looked very
so a
fetching
lot
with the
of
rainbow disc. Good combo.
Yeah, so a couple of people indeed with the Pinarello. But yeah,
Can we talk about
expected.
oh sorry, Steph, didn't mean to step on
Yeah,
the mic.
no,
Go
go
ahead.
for it. No, I was about to say it's to be expected that a lot of people are going with the Pinarello or Dogma, since it's basically now the best all rounder competing, or even better than Tron on certain sections. So yeah, but go for it, Chris. What you want to say?
I was going to ask about Zwift racing score. Like on the heels of that, I went into my profile and to see what my number is, and I see what my number is. I'm now 445. but I don't remember what I was going into the race, and I don't see a way to track your history on this like you can do on
There
Zwift
is,
Racing app.
there is
Nothing. That does not
Yeah.
exist. Okay.
not
I,
at this time.
Okay.
I think the only way you can do it is to go look at your last race and see what the outcome was of that one.
Yeah.
Because it will show you it in
Jesus
that
Christ. Okay.
what your score was out your last race.
Really?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is something Swift will have to address at some point.
Yeah, I was about to
Okay.
say I was about to say you can maybe add it as an extra tab in I don't know in Zwift Power, but
No, don't
but
build
we
anything
want
into
to
Zwift
go away
Power.
from Zwift Power in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We're not trying to increase the functionality of Zwift Power here.
no.
Can we send you
But
to
yeah, it would be interesting that you have something like in Zwift, like Zwift Racing does with your race, that you see for each race what your ZRS score would be. If that would be a nice way to track if you have a history and you could see easily what your racing score was at the end of each race to
Yeah.
easily track it. But
Just a
I'd be
timeline.
I'd be happy if they'd show for part of the race results what the before and afters were.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be good too. A lot of great ideas on here.
It does show you your after, and it shows whether you went up, down, whether you've hit the ceiling. There's
Yeah.
like a or maybe whether your seed score pushed you up, like not depending on your results, and
Yeah.
whether you're below, whether you've hit the ceiling base or the bottom based
Yeah.
on the base.
Yeah, if you have that, if you have a line above or below your arrow, you either hit your ceiling with maybe some new power outputs, your seed score gets up, and if it's down with the flat bit at the top, you hit your bottom score you can have. I think yeah. That's why, for what I understand from reading the Zwift Insider article, but yeah.
Well, where do you
And
see all that? Just on your Zwift
yeah,
profile
if
page?
you go in your activities, you will see an up or down arrow. But sometimes you see with certain people, if you have the up arrow, they have a line below their arrow. If you have an arrow going down, a line above it, that means it's your ceiling, or in both directions, your top or your bottom ceiling, so to speak. But yeah. We'll see, but yeah, lots of talks about ZRS and how it's calculated, but and people thinking they're in the wrong score on a rank category. But yeah, it's a new system, so it still needs to get new data to get sorted out, and eventually people get sorted out anyways on the right place. Bits like Velo does.
Okay, yeah, I see that now with the down arrow. That's weird. Yeah, so my racing score went down, but my Zwift Racing app score went up.
Yep.
Are you seeing it in the individual race, Chris, or is it in like your summary in your profile? Because I don't see any up or down arrows.
On your Zwift feed within the event, like when you get into the metrics of your effort, further on down, when you look at race results, it'll lift score change as a column.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, they make this hard. Okay.
I know I usually look in the companion app, but it seems the easiest place to see it to me, but
Yeah.
This is why the mantra should be "you tool."
Yeah.
It's
but as we talked like last week, it's a good thing that they're adding like your seed score based on your not only a 90-day but your last year, because in my race there were a couple of people doing in a band 180 to 350, like out of the top 10 there were a couple of guys doing 3.7 3.8 watts per kilos, but there were a few that won. They were in the top 5 that didn't race over the summer, so they didn't have a score, and probably that's why they were so low now, but they got bumped out immediately afterwards because of it. But yeah, it's the way it goes. But I think if there's solid logic behind it, like something similar to the Velo ranking score, I think it would be a good way to score people.
I mean, I guess we'll just, I mean, the Zwift
Yeah,
website has never been any particularly great,
No,
resource to my, like it's the only time I
yeah,
usually use is when I need to update the Stampede routes, like honestly. It's otherwise I just go to Zwift Power
yeah.
or
They
the
only
companion app.
they usually go with on the Swiss website. It's for that, for your metrics, for your top results, for your 15 your power curve, and on which date, if you recently did an improvement of your, I don't know, 15-second power, to check that if it's about to drop off or something like that. But for the rest, also don't go on the website very often. So which is sad because
We'll add it to the list along with in-game points results. Maybe if we say it enough times, it's like Beetlejuice. If you say it on a podcast 500 times, it magically appears.
Careful.
All right, let's move on. Chris, we got Climbers
Yeah.
Gambit this week.
Yeah, we're gonna do Sanded Sequoias. We're gonna do Titans Grove Forward. Everybody should get a
Seriously?
good look at this. Oh yeah. Yep.
So if you want to do the double header on tomorrow, you can do Santa Sequoias 2 times.
Yep. So it'll work as a nice little preview recon ride to do Climbers Gambit, go through the S's and the Titans Grove rollers at a leisurely pace, hammer the hill, and then come back and do it at HWR all at full tilt.
Very good. Then we got um Herd of Mountain Goats. I can't remember what I said last week.
I think you said Climbers Gambit was last week, if I recall
And
correctly.
he did
somewhere.
change it. I did get it right, but I'm trying to remember what he said, what I said last. So I gotta find the herd racing team chat and then searching it.
Ah, that you mean where you found it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on to Stampede. Stampede is Richmond Roller Coaster. And that is it's a little lumpy to start and then it's flat at the end. So it's basically just the Richmond loop, but you start with the climby bits and then you finish with the sprint at the top, the flat bit into the sprint with the finish line at the sprint. So go hard early. It's a total of
17K.
17K, yes. Yeah, it's got a really long lead in. Like the lead in is the first time through the sprint. So you do everything.
Yeah.
All the
Mhm.
lumpy bits is basically the start.
Oof.
That's the lead in. And then the start of the route is technically when you hit the
Fan flats
the
area.
banner,
Yeah.
and you do one more lap of the top flat bit. So that's Richmond Roller Coaster, TT bike. It's all good. And then we've got
Bullseye.
Bullseye. What do we got for
Companion
Bullseye?
has it London Classique, but I don't know if that's last week.
That was last week, I think,
Yeah.
or was, I don't know, I
Yeah.
mean, 2 days ago.
Okay, I think for Mountain Goats, it's going to be Snowman with a custom finish at some top thing. Oh, sorry. Then there's an next post after that says, actually, we're gonna do eats a party.
One of the two.
So yeah, one of those two. I don't remember what eats a party is.
It finished on top of the It's-Okay one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. It's a really shitty party.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Zwift KOM, Titans Grove reverse, and then eats a KOM finish.
Yeah.
So in terms
Yeah.
of the mountain
Well,
goats,
mine
that's
and
actually
Itza.
pretty mild.
We did it for Summer ZRL.
Yeah.
So one of those two. And then we got, sorry, did we get the bullseye route?
Mm,
Ooh, I think
It's downtown Dolphin,
Downtown
according to the schedule.
Boom, coming in off the
Ooh.
bench.
well,
Thanks, Sean.
Let's
Hi,
say a quick
Sean.
welcome to Sean Fogenberg. Sean, did you bring a drink with you?
Yep. A
Attaboy.
Two-Town Cider House tropical cosmic crisp cider with passion fruit hibiscus and cosmic crisp apples.
Your drink from last week.
I think that was so much last week, but it's so long, I forgot.
Yep.
Yep. That's why I remembered it was from
Hey.
last week.
It's pink cider.
Perfect. All right. I think that brings us to all the week in herd racing, except for HBR. Nate, what do we got going on with HBR this week?
Okay, HBR this week is going to be RGV, and it's a very standard race course, of course, commonly used. I think, well, for anyone that's done racing, we know where the breakaway points are, aqueduct, and of course the intestines. But for newer people, yeah, that's where you want to go.
Yep. Take your
As
best
you,
all-rounder
go ahead.
hero bike. Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
And
Now,
mostly-
also, oh, go ahead.
I say mostly hold on, win the sprint. If you can break people in the aqueduct, do your best, but it's mostly
Yeah.
going to be a bunch sprint.
It should be, I figure the last 2 kilometers, hold on, draft people as best you can.
Good. And we've got changes coming up to categorization this week.
It's not going to apply this week. Next week, we're going to be going over, we're going to make some small modifications. What happened was we try to monitor what we get for signups. And what I'm usually looking for is what the watts per kilo are that are coming out of the individual races, along with how many racers we're getting in each of the pens. And what we've been noticing is pen A and pen B are a little bit on the lighter side. And what we want to do is we want to scroll back a little bit to where our core route is, which is honestly supporting, I hate to use the term, but category D and the lower cat C riders. So to kind of, and I say I hate to use that because you can't really, as you guys discussed last week, there's no similarity between categories and ZRS. Nice try. Anyways, what we're going to be doing next week is we're going to be doing a quick shift. The quick shift is pin E is going to have from 0 to 100. Try to tighten that band up so that people have a little bit more of a race there. Pin D will have 100 to 170 for the bandwidth. Pin C will be 170 to 240. Pin B, 240 to 320. And pin A will be 320 to 425. So we're kind of shrinking it down just a little bit. Not a whole lot.
And what was the previous top of category range?
Previous top of category range was 475 for
Okay,
pin
so-
A. And what we were seeing is we were seeing upper C's
Yeah.
and occasional
Yeah.
lower B in there.
I wouldn't actually be surprised that after the update, I know I lost like 100 points or something. I think I, had an effort fall off, but I went from low 520s to like in the 440 range. So like I think a lot of people probably when they updated things really did drop a bit too.
Uh, there, as we all know, Zwift is making some adjustments to ZRS. We did end up providing a feed into Zwift on that because one of the notes that we had noted was there seemed to be a floor where a lot of lower racers were having a ZRS of 11. And yeah, I like to smile because you're acknowledging there's something a little wrong. We don't know what the effects are yet. Hopefully, I'm going to see something this upcoming week.
Yeah, I mean, when they first announced it, there was something where it was like the low seemed to be right around 90, and it was like a whole bunch of people were at 90.
Yes, they were. Yes, we refer to those as the body temperature people for those dealing in Fahrenheit.
So how do you think that? So this has been one of the series that has been really just on ZRS since the testing phase. How do you think it's gone? Do you feel like I mean, like to some degree, you're seeing how ZRS is going a lot better than most of us. So, like, how do you think it's been going? How do you think the like bands mix different types of riders, that kind of stuff?
Okay, I'm a proponent for ZRS, and uh, what I'll say is, okay, my ZRS score is running about 245 right now, and I think that's relatively accurate. I haven't done a whole lot of the ZRS races. Uh, I was doing some. Most of my focus has been on ZRL and Team Time Trial, both of which aren't part of the ZRS scoring. Having said that, though, what I'm seeing for the results and those participating is we're getting things are sorting out, and I think it's headed in the right direction. Uh, I'm a believer of it. I think that uh, those people that have power, they're putting down 20, their 20-minute watts per kilo is 2.8 to 3.0. We're seeing, when I was doing a quick look, I was seeing anywhere from about 230 up to about 350, depending upon things. And I expect them to be beating me or at least getting ahead of me a little bit so that I have to draft them. So to me, that's the right direction. Are there some problems? Yeah. Let them have a chance to work through them.
How have the race sizes been since it was part of the like beta period and this seemed like it was like, okay, this is one of the things that we're going to showcase as part of the ZRS testing. And like, did that bring in new riders?
Uh, we've seen some good improvements in numbers. Things started out a little bit slow during the initial testing. The numbers weren't bad, but they were following what we'd seen before to some degree. We did get some additional because we had a number of Cat C and Bs during the initial testing while we're under Zwift Labs. Since then, as things are opening up, we're seeing primarily were season Ds. There's going to be a few more hanger-ons until everything gets rolled in with ZRS. But with ZRS now saying if you don't ride for a time period, we're going to use your 1 year numbers. I think that's going to be really good. And what I also think is, ZRS, I think, has an excellent opportunity to reduce sandbagging. That's what I think, though.
Oh, I think it pretty much eliminates it, right? I mean, you win, you move up. Like there's no power metric. There's no like I won doing
Yeah,
3.9, so I don't move up. You win, you move up. Like that's
yeah,
kind of it. I mean,
I think if you can crack the secret sauce that they have, you might be able to, but as you just said, if you win something, you're moving up. I want to see them get into the points though, because that's also going to that's a place where a lot of riders score really big.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll come. Obviously, sort of interim point stuff and Zwift core are not friends. So
It's the fun of the system. One of the things that we do have is it's not just me doing HBR making all the decisions. We do have other people that support and help out. And anytime I start to get a wild hair about anything that I'm thinking we need to look at on the HBR side, I float it by the group first. This isn't just a one person thing fully.
Yeah, I mean, my sort of general experience, I mean, I've been doing a bunch of ZRS because I've been trying to do like all the community races. Like I'm already at about 8 in the 2 weeks, I think. And
Nice.
and when I look at the results, the guys who have higher scores than me beat me, and the guys who have lower scores don't. I mean, there's usually in the close ones, there's a few above, a few below, but it generally sort of seems to track, right?
Did that happen immediately, like based on the seed score, or did it take a couple races for you to adjust and then you were in your right range?
Well, I've always been in the same
Okay.
band, right? Like I never fell below 520 or something. It's 520, I think, to 690 is what used to be the old B band, give or take. And so I've always been in that band. I was like 590, and so I probably my scores bounced like I think I just hit 630 or 620 or something after this HWR. So like I've been between like 590 and 630 pretty much the whole time. And so I think that's the other sort of tell to me is that it's stabilizing, like it's kind of settling in, which it should, right? At some point it shouldn't, if your results are what they are, barring like you having a smoking good race, they shouldn't really be that much adjustment, right? So far so good from doing a lot of them. Like I do think you're right, Nate,
Yeah.
that if you're not doing it that much, and keeping in mind that it's like also like these community races, like if that's the primary driver of ZRS right now, which I think it is, because that's sort of like the number one thing, are all a very similar style of race, right? They're all about a 25 to 30K like categorized scratch race with, and the courses have been pretty similar. Like there was one that was like a smasher right over the top, but a lot of them, like there was a not San Sequoias, but something that Downtown Titans, right? That had Titans reverse in it. So there's just like kind of one climb in it, but otherwise it's like Innsbruck 3 laps. We did something else that had like multiple, like just kind of those like 3, 4 like little pushes that you have to do. Like kind of, there was something that was like with Downtown Titans, I guess it was downtown plus Hilly KOM plus Titans. So there's 2 in that one, but it's those sort of like 2 to 3 minute climbs repeatedly. They got to keep on. Castle crit 5 laps, right? So every time on that castle crit one, you had to do like that climb up to the castle every time. So it's similar types of racing. So I think that's probably advantaging the score that every race is a bit similar right now. I think once they throw in like a couple 20-minute climb type races, it will really, some of those guys who are getting quite good scores right now will fall back a bit. But so far I think it's better. I think the real proof in the pudding will come when you can change those bands around so that the people who aren't, like, it still suffers from the, like, if you're at the top of the band, you finish at the top, and if you're in the bottom of the band, you finish at the bottom. And the real magic will come when they start moving those bands around, right? So someone right now who's like a 520, right, or a 530, they're always at the bottom of B. And it's, maybe they're going to get dropped down a bit, but they're probably, as soon as they get dropped down to the next band, they're going to pop back up again, because all of a sudden they're going to start winning. But as soon as like the top of that band hits like 560, then it's like a 560 down to 450 band, Now they're gonna have to race like in the race, right? It's not automatic.
Yeah, but that's using what Zwift has set up. The race organizers can talk with Zwift and get specific bans if they want.
But I mean, listen, I'm not gonna say that I follow every racing series with some like intense level of minute to minute updates, but I don't have the impression there's many using like I think
I,
I saw maybe Flamme Rouge and maybe Flamme Rouge races off of Zwift Racing app, I think, or uses
Yeah,
some other custom setup.
Mhm.
yeah, Flamme Rouge uses for their races the Velo rankings ranks. That's
Yeah. And there's another one like maybe BZR or something that said they had ones, but other than those two, like I don't see the really big number races having used different categories yet.
No, they haven't, or I haven't seen.
You
yeah.
know, or like even Zwift, like if I was Zwift, the next Z Racing series, I would change the bands.
I like that actually.
Well, I just
Just
think
play with it. Yeah, it's a bit like with what Steve was saying last week with sort of you used online gaming as an example that you don't know in which bands you were gonna end up. It's not never gonna be the case in Swift maybe, but you can play with it. So indeed you give people that maybe at the bottom with the normal bands can be mid to higher in a certain band or vice versa.
I mean, I think if they get to that point where they can algorithmically sort them, whatever, I think the that's going to be a bit trickier in something like
Yeah,
cycling where you got to like sweat,
yeah,
like people are going to drop out because they're getting shelled and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
one thing to, you know, get sore thumbs. It's another thing to get sore legs.
yeah.
I prefer the sore
Like
legs.
yeah, like
Better
it's
for me.
We all try both. I mean, I've been beat up in video games, but like you just kind of wait your 10 seconds and go back in and
yeah,
it's not quite the same as like, oh, I'm here for a workout and some guy who's an A+ just shelled me with the sprint. Now he's pedaling off at 5.0 for the next 10 minutes.
yeah.
Good. All right. Well, that's a good update on ZRS and HBR. In terms of news, we just got the news from Zwift about the new mystery route or mystery rock. Something's going to happen. Steph, you want to talk about that? You posted it in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know how legit it is, but somebody uh, I saw just browsing through Reddit, somebody made a YouTube video about a preview of the new Zwift expansion. But yeah, it looks like it's still a preview because it says grass as roads, and it definitely doesn't look that finished. But yeah, we're all wondering what would emerge from the water besides the volcano.
I just opened the video and it's beautiful. Like the person's just riding through rocks. Yeah,
Yeah,
so the very unfinished, but looks cool if this is what it ends up being.
looks
Like
a bit, yeah. If it roots to the forest, it looks a bit like same kind of textures like Titan's Grove a bit, same environment, but yeah, that definitely looks and it's looks like a 4 kilometer route or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, we will see how it goes. Yeah, it's on a YouTube channel. It's not from Zwift itself of less than 250 subscribers, so it's definitely nothing officially.
yeah, I mean, you say I don't know how legit it is, but like I don't know how they would
Yeah,
like generate a fake version of this.
Yeah.
Like it looks like legitimately like the game. So the this does this version puts to bed the like, oh, maybe it's a velodrome. Honestly, this looks better than a velodrome, but like I think a lot of people would get really bored with a velodrome unless and until they've got points racing in game. So
What is the launch date or the go live date supposed to be that it rises up and we're all supposed to gather around on our Pinktrons and view this in
Wasn't
real
it
time?
the final rate or final ride or final week of Tour of Watopia, I
Tour of
think?
Watopia?
That's what I
Okay.
thought too.
Okay.
Cool. Well, let's
Looking
all
forward to it.
keep an eye out for that. I mean,
which is
new
another
stuff's
month or so until the last one.
So here's what I learned about Tour of Watopia today after finishing Sand and Sequoias is that you just have to finish the Tour of Watopia routes in any ride, including in an event, not just whatever, and it checks it off, right? Like I guess I should
Oh,
have figured
interesting.
that out, but I thought you would have to at least like click in the free ride for the route. But no, if you do one of those routes in an event, it still checks it off for you.
I know you could do it in a group ride, but I didn't know you could do it in a race.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I got like it said
You
today,
got
oh, you
credit.
finished your first route in Tour of Watopia. I was like, oh, that's like
Isn't a race a group ride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
can we
And
go
vice
can we
versa.
go back and do them afterward? Or does it have to be during the week that's the route?
I think they're all open the whole thing
Great.
because I haven't done like this was week 3.
Oh yeah, it does actually say, remember, any route listed below can be free ridden or completed in a workout or meetup for stage credit.
What I didn't realize again, and now I
Is
have,
the
is that
race.
well, I thought you could do any route in Watopia, but it has to get the 1.5 XP, but it has to be those routes in Watopia to get the 1.5 XP.
Hmm.
Double XP in the event, like if you're in a specific Tour Watopia event, but you get the 1.5 XP in any on those routes, free ride or an event, any event.
Nice.
Because as we know, Brent's still on the quest for 100.
I'm about halfway through level 80. That's why I'm doing all these community races, double XP. All right, and I think for Round the Horn, ZRL has announced the routes for the designer route, or I guess the finalists for the designer route contest for race 6 of the next season of ZRL. There's 3 routes, 3-ring circus, ride to the hills, and let's see how much of a hash I can make of this. Ter Drinkfa Fachan, which is Welsh for 3 little
Welsh.
climbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do we think our favorites are out of this? Should we start with Nate? Why do you go first, Nate? Have you looked at these? Do you have a
Yes, I
favorite?
have. I did my vote. I voted for the flattest route possible.
It's a 3-ring
Uh,
circus for you.
3-ring circus. I'm looking out for my team.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that has a lot of interest in a big race like ZRL, where you've got what 10 teams, 6 riders a team, you got 60 people. If you end up getting losing touch with the front pack on those triple loops, on one of those loops, you might be able to jump on as they come through, and because they're pretty small loops, right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, the volcanoes, whatever it is, but then the other 2 are even smaller, looks like.
We're in a little bit smaller division. We're Central
Oh.
D. So
Okay, not as many riders even.
we've been fielding 18 riders across the board.
Mm.
Ooh.
May grow with the next season. I mean, Central, everyone loves to do East. Central, a little bit skinnier.
Mhm.
Is that just because it's too late at night, you think? Is that
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. A lot of riders are East Coast or East or Central, and when they look at a 6:30 Mountain Time start, that's 7:30 Central. That's going towards the later side. East Coast people, they don't like it. And Pacific, who knows with them?
Well, I think the big guns in Pacific get drawn into the Eastern one is my impression. Like as a guy who also races Eastern, I live in Mountain, right? So I can easily jump into the 530. It's not that much difference in
Uh,
631.
That's how I've been too. Same time zone.
Yep. All right. All right. So when I'm looking at this route, so yeah, it's 3 times around Volcano, 3 times around this weird little loop that using the bypass through the Italian villas and stuff, which is pretty flat, right? There's a
Yeah.
little bump when you come right off the Dirty Sorpresa, that little bump, and then you'll come back down, and that's about it, I think.
I
In
think
terms
the
of
interesting part is the finish, which you like climb up the steep bit of the reverse hilly and then do loops
Mhm.
around the
On the
bypass
top
bit.
section. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the finish is at the hilly KOM finish. I believe I've got
Yeah.
that right.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the reverse hilly, pardon me. Which
Yeah.
is like a little, like it's a 3-4% uphill finish.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think for about 100 or 200 meters there coming into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely sort of a attack that steep bit and try and hold the pack off for 10 minutes almost though. I would think to get those 3 laps in. Maybe a little less than that, 8 minutes.
You'll push on the last lap.
Yeah.
At least D's will.
I think there's
Oh.
going to be some splits that happen right at the
Mhm.
like I think it's going to be a sprint up the steep bit onto the rollers to split the groups up, and then it's going to be there's enough rolling to make that last few minutes interesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is when they enter on, right? The steep bit is before you get into that lap,
Yeah.
right? Before you get into
Mhm.
the repeat part. So you're gonna want to try and create separation there. But then if you create that separation, you've got to hold it for those whole 3 laps, which are rolling, but not super steep, the lap parts. So that's
Yeah.
going to be the challenge, is holding off the group behind for, it's got to be like 8K, right? For those 3 laps.
Maybe a
Probably
little less, but
less. Yeah.
You're in the ballpark.
it looks like 6 maybe,
Yeah.
just based
Yeah.
on the route profile.
I
I
mean, so
think the
there's
oh,
8
go ahead.
power-ups.
Oh wow.
That's a different kind of race that I don't think I've had before. I
Oh,
can see
yeah.
what you get 3 in the
Wow.
volcano, and then I don't know what you do on the little island. What's the power up?
The sprint.
Do you hit the
Technically, the
sprint?
I
sprint.
don't think you go through the sprint banner. There isn't the sprint banner on the bridge.
That's what I
No,
thought.
it's beyond the bridge. It's beyond that crossroad. So you
Oh.
cross it.
Okay.
Yeah, you cross it 3 times, I think. Then, and indeed 2 times. Then through the KOM banner, and yeah, the third one is the finish, I think.
Hmm.
So yeah, 8 possibly.
Interesting. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it is interesting. I'll give him credit for something different. It's
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think
that's.
oh, go ahead. I'm
I was
gonna
about to say
switch off of
on-
this route.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's see, John. What's your favorite? Are you on this one too?
I'm interested in this one, but I think the next one is, I don't know. We can talk
Wow.
about that next.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Ride to the Hills looks like maybe the least interesting of the 3.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
20 Ks of flat, and then you do the first half of the grade,
And
and
then
then
downhill.
descend finish. Like
Yeah, that's weird.
I think the route looks boring, but I think it actually has the most interesting tactics, right? Because if you're not a climber, you're going to want to attack, all that flat stuff, right? And try and shake the lightweights off. And like, that's a long time to do it, which who knows in those numbers if you can do it or not. And then you got the grade, but only the bottom half of the grade. So it's only about
5 minute ish.
yeah, like pretty fast. So you can go pretty hard. And then it's downhill, but not super steep, like pedaling hard downhill, right? So guys aren't going to be able to really super tuck it. So you've got, another 4K to finish downhill. So if you're
With
like,
about 2 Ks of flat ish.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
a bigger
there's
guy
a-
who got dropped, if you're like only maybe 5 or 10 seconds off, like 5 or 10 seconds on that downhill is very make upable. And then the finish actually ends with that first little lump coming.
Uh-huh.
Like you normally in Itza, you'd like go
Yeah.
up and
Yes.
over and in to start Itza. So you're going the other way up, down, and then like about a 300-meter flat bit on those cobbles, which I think makes for a very interesting sprint finish there, where you can like launch from that up that little hump. And then if you can hold the power up and then hold off as you go across the flat bit, I think what makes it interesting.
I was going to mention that it's a down to Mayan. There's a couple little undulating parts that you can break away from another person if you
Yeah.
pop it right.
I just think that like the way that this will get raced for most, at least for C's, is going to be really boring until we get to the hill.
Yeah.
Especially in a ZRL because the numbers are
Yeah,
so big and it's
like
so
with
hard to
it with
shake
an
the groove.
80 rider, 100 rider race, like it's just going to be ride tempo for 40 minutes and then do the fun stuff.
It's going to be a lot of sitting in for sure.
At least you warmed up for the climb.
I actually
But-
put this one as my first choice because
That was your choice.
I do like I love that finish. Like I agree, you could start. I don't know. Start at like some different closer pen or something. I know there isn't one, but whatever.
Start it. Yeah, no, there is. It's just right at the base of the grade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
but
that.
you need like a little warm up or something anyway. I don't know. If you could just go like halfway,
a-
like out to halfway up the coast and back to warm up or something.
Make it an 8K 8K
The
sprint
jungle.
race.
Yeah.
Start in the
The jungle
jungle.
pen.
Yeah.
They could also
Jungle
put another pin in by Saddle Springs.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. What I guess you
Or
could
they-
do, what would actually make it somewhat more interesting is actually make it like a full lap and a half. I know, I think this is a route, is it not? Like where you go halfway up the grade and then turn and go down Itza? Isn't that a route? I know it goes one that goes the other way. That's Coastal Crown.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a route that goes this way up
Yeah,
the half.
they should make a new one called Crown Coastal.
Yeah, but I think that would actually maybe be the do to do is go straight up the half grade, all the way back around, straight up it again, and then finish at like one of those stone temple arch or whatever those two arches that are between when you turn back on and the pens there. I think that would actually be an interesting way to do it. But anyway, this is what we got. Like like I said, the finish intrigues me. I think the finish is interesting.
Yeah, I think that third route is the one that I'm likely to put as the choice. I like the trio of little climbs that they've put in. And the Titans Grove finish, but like finishing beyond the Titans Grove reverse. So you do the climb and then you do the downhill and finish past the downhill.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it starts downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then OSHA pens to that's the epic forward climb.
Or epic forward to the bypass.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Then hilly reverse, it seems, to the volcano, and indeed Titans Grove. Does it sound clear?
It's
Because
not
on
the
It's not the full hilly reverse.
yeah.
No, it goes it goes up the steep bit of hilly reverse and then into
It does the
hilly
bypass.
forward.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I like
Huh?
that. Like that,
So
that's like
that's
fun.
killer.
Because you have indeed the kicker, then it goes down the bypass for a bit, and then you go up the last section of hilly forwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think it kind of overstays the welcome a little, frankly, to go through the volcano back through downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, to going like doing the hilly and then like maybe bypass again down
Yes.
down the hilly forward and then over to the like so you cut off that final left hand loop would have been nice, but
Yeah.
But
They
then,
did
yeah,
it for distance.
and then finish at the top of Titans Grove reverse is nasty.
yeah.
That is a hard finish.
I
Has,
like it.
That's a
has
fun
ZRL
finish.
had many sort of mountaintop finishes? I don't remember. anymore.
Well, and this is not, I
No.
wouldn't
And
call
it
this a
does not
mountaintop
finish there.
finish.
Not a mountaintop, but like a significant climb.
The
No.
like breakaway Bray finishes we've had, but that's like a
But,
lot less
but that,
steep and a lot
that,
shorter
that's a
than
minute.
this.
That's a minute or less sprint, basically
mean-
uphill.
I think the closest is the one that we had as the finish this past week.
Yeah.
Like up the Skur
Oh, the
reverse,
Skur, it did end
the
on the
road
Skur
side of the
reverse.
Skur. Like
Yeah.
That's pretty close. Yep.
it's like a 2 minute.
Not quite as
That
steep.
that one's got steep and flat and steep and flat. This is just like 4%.
Mhm.
The only thing before that was when we did McCurry and finishing up by the temple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are the points that they finished at the temple. They did to the full route castles and
Yeah.
castles to whatever. Remember that one.
Yeah, that's still a 6-minute climb to get to the top. So,
Yep. Yeah, for the D's, that was our finish.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I
think.
like these like 2 to 3 minute like all out finishes.
Yeah, we've never finished like at the top of Hilly or even maybe a New York KOM. I think we might have finished at one of those once. I remember doing a New York KOM finish once for sure.
I don't know. Ending on Hilly reverse on HSRL last week that was gross. And it wasn't that long, right? It like the Hilly reverse is, I don't know how long it is. What is it, 3-4 minutes? But
We
just
we have had a Hilly reverse finish. I think that's right. I've definitely
Hmm.
finished some races at Hilly reverse before. Anyway, I mean it's good. It's like these the two first climbs like are definitely enough like for catches to happen. Like do you know what I mean? They're short enough that you probably can't break away far enough that the catch can't make it up. Like that's what you always I think want in a race, right? Is you want like there to be a potential reward to winning the climb, but enough incentive for the guys in the back to work to try and make the catch.
Yeah.
And I think they've actually done a good job of that. So this is my second favorite one for me.
Gonna be I'm voting now. It's gonna be this one, then 3 ring, then Ride of the Hills for me, I think.
I already voted and this was my favorite.
Good. I mean, I think they're good routes, all of them. Like I said, I think Touring Circus seems a little boring to me, but maybe that's
It depends on your level. That's what I'll say.
yeah, that's super fair. That's super fair.
But,
just know-
and like John said, if you're even a bigger field, but if you're dropped, you still have some people that groups will go past you because those loops are pretty short. So you'll encounter some people along the route. So that might be a motivation for people to not be riding alone.
I think the Ride to the Hills one looks boring to me, if only because it seems like the kind of ride that I have to do any hill riding, where I like ride for 15 to 25 miles, get a hill, and then have to ride home on the same flat roads again.
Oof.
I think it's a very fair criticism of that one, that the flat bit at the start is very long.
Yeah.
That's a lot of long flat to ride. I guess the one thing I'll say about the Three Ring Circus one is if you put this power ups as like steamroller, steamroller, feather, and burrito, I think you could like have some real chaos. Like even coming up, like I know the steamroller's a bit deprecated from whenever we used it that first time we had the dirty suppressa in ZRL. But if you had like those steamroll, like if you timed it right and you sent your steamrollers off the front with your burrito in behind him, and like you kind of had like 2 or 3 guys in teams, I think you would cause absolute mass slaughters coming out of that climb.
That would
Like
be a
anyone
good
who
one.
got stuck with a feather would just be cooked, I think. and the guys with the burritos who couldn't make it, right? If you weren't in that behind or right on the guys with the steamrollers.
Steamroller.
Because if you got pushed back in the draft and you didn't have a steamroller, like you're gonna fall off the front in a big hurry there. So there is some Some grounds for chaos there.
Yeah, remember doing a tiny race which finishes on basically on top of the dirty suppressor where through the I think through the we went through the volcano. You had a steamroller power up and seeing and yeah, the tactical was of course to time it right, to deploy it, so you basically have the full advantage of the climb. Some people quit it way too early, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Brent, that the thing that's often missing in a lot of these races, and I think why I was not that excited about Ride to the Hills, but I think your vision of it was a lot different than mine. The thing that's missing in a lot of the times is the chaos, and that's one of the things I really like about HWR is like, both from writing it and from when we used to commentate on them, like, oh, here comes the dumb stuff. Like, here comes all of the A's just deciding to just start punching each other in the legs and making every other normal person hurt for a while. And that's, I mean, unless you're riding in like a category too high, like that's not usually how flat bits in ZRL go.
Yeah, it's very true.
Uh, I'm looking at it as a cat D, and yeah, the world is a little different between D's, C's, and D's. That's the big thing I've always identified.
I will just say on one note about burritos, like I don't know, did any of you guys do I can't remember which group organized, but there was a community racing league one this week on Makalian, and the power ups were burritos and
Oh,
maybe burritos and ghosts, and like
So
The most
was it?
hated.
Yeah, it was the troll ride.
Yeah,
oh,
the troll ride.
just every time it was just like stop, why are you sending it now? Like you're just making us all work hard, we're not going anywhere, like just stop, please, just stop.
I, I think Rolling Highlands I did on Tuesday also had burritos, I think, and was either Arrow or Draft Truck for the other one. But yeah, I think outside of the last one, I think I always got a burrito, and it was just a group, and thinking it's no use. People were just dropping it at those random moments just before for the banner, just to get another power up.
Brent, I don't know if you've already talked about it because I got here late, but sounds like you've been doing a lot of the community races.
Yep.
How have those been going? Any of them that really stood out for you?
I mean, I like it. Like I said, the racing style of a lot of them seems very similar, right? Even like Michael Yin, right, was breakaway Bray punch, Zgur South punch, breakaway Bray punch, Zgur North. I guess maybe it was breakaway Bray, Zgur North, Zgur South, breakaway Bray to finish. And I was in that one as a smaller race. I think there was only about 6 of us, and like I checked, and that there was 2 guys who were stronger than me and 3 guys who were weaker than me, and those 3 of us went across the top together, and we dropped the other guys on the gravel climb, basically, like as you would have predicted. And then I ended up finishing second behind a guy who upgraded to like 692, so he's now in the top band, right? So the guy who finished behind me, I think, was ranked 658 or something like that. So I, in a 3-man bunch sprint, I nipped that guy. It's funny to me, the numbers when they like go off or don't go off. Like if you're at 610 mountain, 710 mountain, so like 510 Pacific, 610 Pacific, you'll get in races with like 40, 50 people in a race. You try to go at 810 mountain, so like 710 Pacific, there'll be like 6 of you. So it's that's a bit tricky when you're trying to get numbers in. But like I said, I mean, it's just a bunch of scratchers on different courses that are all similar, right? Like we did 3 groups of Innsbruck Ring. We did 5 laps of Castle Crit. We did Downtown Titans, we did Muckle Yen, like they're all at like 25 km-ish,
Yeah,
you know,
Do
but I
you
so.
do you feel like you would have enjoyed it more since you're it seems like you're committed to this series if the the individual groups had more of a ability to kind of showcase what they already do and like the kinds of like we have points races or we have like the big bunch like everyone leaves together race. I know that there are some other uh series that are kind of the non-standard things.
I think it would have been a better advertisement, for lack of a better expression, for the clubs that do different things to have a part of the series for them to do their different things. Like
yeah,
it's like, let's be honest, the herd doesn't actually offer a categorized scratch race, but our week when we get to October 29th will be a categorized scratch race. That's not even
Right.
a thing we do. So, you read the description and you get a sense of what the club's about, but the race itself doesn't teach you that,
You
right?
don't
Like
like, oh, hey, I really loved that race. I should check out their races.
yeah, like the Zwift and Slider one's not going to be tiny races for tiny races, right?
We do have a categorized scratch race, but if you're above 420 or whatever it was, you can't ride it. So
Sorry. Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry, my bad, Nate, my bad. Um, so
oh,
I don't, have any
oh,
of you guys done any of them or?
None.
I've done, like I said, I've done one because it was a bit of a week off for me, kind of, and also out of ladder. So I tried to just to see the lay of the lands, how it how it how well would fare in my bands.
Is Rhino
Yeah,
doing one? Because they have
Yep.
their
I think they
really
already did it.
interesting one, but it was just a categorized scratch race. It wasn't
yeah,
their sort of
Yep.
but
flavor.
yeah, I think because when Mario Line first communicated in our chat, I think yeah, it must be a scratch. It must between this and this length. I don't know. So yeah, because I was looking at it and I was looking at the two clubs, the two Flam Rouge and Chasing Tour do the most bonkers things. They had, yeah, I think one of them was pretty difficult, but the other, I think, elevate evaluation, but Chasing Tour, which was also themselves does Downtown Titans, which is, yeah, I think, yeah, it's a missed opportunity to not let maybe the clubs do like feature their most prominent race type or something like that. So people, but yeah, then you have to work in within the race bands. And if we do, for instance, we do a lot of points races, which aren't on etc. So yeah, but yeah, but
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't looked like, if there's a GC apparently, I haven't even looked at it. I'm sure I'm way down because I've been doing races with
Hmm.
6 people in them. I haven't finished every one either. I did miss one in week 1. I only got 4 in week 1
Mm.
just for
oh
skipping.
no.
But, yeah. But anyway, like you again, like I don't think I'm better at racing than most people, but it amazes me how many times I finish and the guys behind me are like 3.8, 3.9, and I'm like 3.4. Like, what were you dummies
Yes.
doing?
So good.
This is the Chris Greenland 3.2.
Oh, like I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, I know I'm gonna get smashed if I go to the front. And I do attack. Like I do go to the front. I will press the pace once in a while, but I don't just like sit on it at like 3.8. It's like I go to the front at 5.0 and then I'll push it at like 4.2. And if I get caught, I'll drop off the back. But there are just guys who will like literally pedal like 3.8 the whole race. And you're like, okay, have fun.
I'll sit behind you.
You're a smart racer.
Yeah. Like I have nothing wrong with a guy who wants to like sprint ahead, fall back, sprint. Let's go. Let's play all these games. Like let's play the tricks, right? That's racing. Rubbing is racing, as they say. Good. All right. I think that probably wraps it up for the week. We'll say thank you to Chris Greenland. Thank you to Sean Fogenberg. Thank you to Stef Etienne. Thank you to John Keenan. And a special thank you to Nate Trachta for coming on and giving us the lowdown on HBR. Enjoy your races. Thanks for listening, everybody. Moo and good night.